get us ready to go. All right, we're unmuted. It's not 5 yet. It's 4:59. Just in case anybody joins us.
Okay,
It doesn't
don't worry,
look
I
like
just don't
anybody's
have
gonna
to
join
get
us.
this meeting go to get to start anyway. How many meetings have we done? And I'm still confused about it all. Is it
It's
5?
5. You go.
Okay. So, let's call the meeting to order. And we have a guest here. Should we introduce ourselves? I mean, we've already done it.
Well, yeah, for the minutes, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Hannah Town, a Barre City resident, member of the Barre City River Access Task Force,
Oh,
and a proud Down Street homeowner.
nice.
Good. So,
We should all introduce ourselves.
yeah, so
too,
I'm Ann Merrill. I'm the chairperson for this committee. Don't know why I got chosen.
We were all like, not it.
So.
Yeah, Kathy was like, not it. It's okay. And I am currently a Barre City resident. I've worked in the housing field for over 10 years now, so it's been a long time. I started out in Capstone and now I'm the housing coordinator for Washington County Mental Health.
Dan Barlow, Executive Director of the People's Health and Wellness Clinic for the Free Healthcare Clinic for the county. Vice Chair of this committee, also live here in Barre City and former board president of Downstreet. So if we're all talking about our Downstreet credibility here, so yeah.
Kathy Partlow, my credibility is I work here. That's where I get it from. I am the Director of Homeless Services here at Downstreet, and primarily, right now anyway, I am running Speranza Inn, which is the former Quality Inn. So we're starting a renovation there. As if you drive by there, you'll see that there's all kinds of stuff going on. So, yeah.
Brooke, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, Brooke Pouliot, Community Outreach Specialist for Barre City Police Department. And I'm working on my camera. Thank you.
All right, so are there any adjustments to the agenda today?
I don't think so.
None? And should we approve minutes from our last meeting?
Sure. Does our public want to make a comment at all, or? No?
At this time, thank you.
Okay.
I have not had a chance to look at them, so what I'm wondering is if we could table the minutes until the next meeting, based on the fact that they just came through and I haven't had a chance to look at them. I don't expect I'll have any issues with them, but in my mind, it might be good just to table the
I
approval.
agree, because I just barely got them myself
Yeah.
too, so.
Sounds good. So I'll second your motion.
Thank you.
Since that's the majority of us here,
Yeah.
we're good with that.
So our next agenda item is public comment. Is there anything?
Nope, not at this time. I'm interested in, storage. Yes.
Oh, the storage lockers. So we're gonna put that on the table and hope Tess comes in shortly. It was, Tess was the one who did that. And so we have camping policy. Does anybody?
I can talk a little bit about the memo I put together.
I think
you?
that's great.
Yeah.
Would appreciate
And
it.
actually, I'm imagining Hannah might be interested in that, given the river, like the committee you're on.
Yeah.
There's some crossover there potentially.
So this is just for, I think, I see this as a starting point for a conversation that this committee can have about what Barre City can do to make at least the camping season for the unhoused more comfortable. So this is really just kind of like, you know, a policy memo about what other municipalities are doing, what existing law may say, and kind of best practices. So first of all, I think we all know that the Supreme Court decision, I think it was last year, around public camping for homelessness kind of really changed the landscape in terms of what cities can and can't do. And it did allow a lot of states and municipalities to start restricting or prohibiting camping, even when shelters are not available or are full. And that was, I think, a key part of that decision as well, that municipalities really can say no to camping on public lands. That's now their right, according to the Supreme Court. So what I found is that the idea of public camping is pretty popular when they poll them. Down in Utah, 70% of the people in a poll said designated camping sites for the unhoused is a good idea. Often people see the idea of a designated camping site as meaning that they're not going to see camping kind of like, you know, in the city square or, you know, behind a church or where else. It's going to be, you know, in one centralized location. And I think the sense is from, you know, maybe kind of outside of the public view, you know, there's some level of privacy there. What I found in that, like municipalities that do this, it's a lot more complex than just putting up some platforms, right? Which is where this conversation started. Cities that have done this, have usually restrooms and showers available. The wooden tent platforms, some kind of security and lighting, usually actually 24/7 presence from volunteers or staff or someone to be there to deter violence or other issues. They have wraparound social services, connecting people with housing, employment, mental health resources. They usually have dumpsters and other forms of waste management. Transit such as buses or shuttles going, you know, to the campsite, bringing people to, you know, a downtown location where there are services, and community oversight. So usually it's in addition to the municipality having some responsibility, a nonprofit usually also plays a role here as well. One thing I found really interesting is that the cities that do this, that are most effective, there is usually a kind of a self-governing aspect among the people staying at the campsite. And these are usually like year-round campsites. Like I think in like Austin, Texas has one, for example, where it's almost like they're their own self-governed, you know, they have like, you know, a council, you know, to make decisions for themselves, and kind of a level of accountability too, among the folks staying there. So obviously, you know, it's much, you know, Portland, Oregon and Austin, Texas is going to be a lot different than Vermont. Whereas, you know, those are year-round campgrounds, you know, pretty much set up. And here we're really kind of talking about, you know, less than half the year. Real obstacles, zoning, land use issues. For my research, that these platforms would have to be ADA compliant as well, so they would need ramps to go up to access. There's a whole bunch of legal liabilities that would need to be maneuvered around. Also there's still kind of a sense of NIMBYism, like, you know, of neighbors saying they support the idea in theory, but they don't want it next to their home or their business or what have you. And then long-term funding and sustainability, like this is not an inexpensive, you know, I saw some studies that said, you know, it costs anywhere between $40,000 and $60,000 per like tent platform to kind of like run something like this.
Like all in.
All
with
in, yeah, with
all the things
all
we're
those
talking
things,
about.
yeah,
Okay.
all those things. So again, this was just, I think, a starting point to kind of ground us in what the law says, what regulations say, what other parts of the country are doing, and then some obstacles. I do think this is something we should pursue and, you know, bring to the city council. But I feel like we have a lot of kind of like unknowns still
to
to
look at,
answer
yeah.
here, you know?
Yeah.
But at least this is, I was hoping, a starting point to get us kind of grounded in what we should be thinking about if we put a proposal together for this, so.
Thanks, Dan. That's like a huge amount of work, and just like setting a really nice framework for us to work from.
No problem, I like doing things like this, so. Yeah.
I'll remember
It's the
that.
journalist in me back when I was in my 20s and I was a reporter, so, yeah.
That makes sense.
This is great. I like it. And it's a great starting point actually for us to start looking at each one of these.
Yeah, and I know like Burlington has looked at it, and my next step is to see if I can get any any materials they developed? Because I
Yeah.
know they looked at this and didn't actually end up pulling the trigger on something like this, you know?
Well, they went with the
The
campground,
tiny-
I
the
think.
pod community
yes,
thing. I'm
yes.
saying pods. I don't know what they call it.
Yes.
Yeah,
But,
those pod
yeah,
homes, yeah,
Yeah.
instead.
So maybe for next meeting, I can get together some like more local, you know, and we can see kind of what they maneuvered through.
Mhm.
In terms to get where they are, so.
So weren't some of those pod homes supposed to come this way too at one point?
No, yes and no. We were definitely talking about it. We had some really like, it was early to mid-COVID and,
Yes.
and locally we were having lots of discussions as to how to deal with the situation and those things came up as really good possible options for maybe even longer stays, like
Yeah.
pods that were large enough that would be comfortable with
Mhm.
enough anyway, I mean, just to get by.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just a cost thing. It was like, where's the money gonna go? And I mean, the money ended up all getting spent. It was kind of COVID money that
Yeah.
came in and some of it went to these purposes, just not in that way.
Yeah, and I know in some of these communities, like they started off with tent platforms and then over the years they became tiny houses. Like it's almost, you know, it started small and then it grew up. Yeah, oh, Tess.
Cool. Neat.
Of course, I also have no idea where in Barre would be. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't have a good handle on what's municipal property, you know? You know, I get the sense that, you know, to get public support, they would want something that's like kind of outside of town a little bit, but also then there's that transportation gap
Yeah.
because like, you know, people hang out in downtown Barre, not just because it's, you know, downtown Barre, but that's where all the services are and that's where the businesses are and that's where their friends live, you know, so.
Mhm.
Hey, Tess.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to introduce yourself to our? guests?
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you do in this group?
Yeah.
I know. I am the Tess Taylor, the homelessness and housing liaison for Barre City. Through a grant by the AHS.
Well, I'm here for myself and Rivers, and I realize I'm also a down street homeowner, so people, but. Yeah, the goal would be to keep the trash like out of the river before, you know, like we have to pick it up then, so that's my thought, my goal, my first meeting idea.
Were you at Barre Rotary recently? Because I know some folks.
Danielle.
from- Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
She's
okay.
our chair, so she.
God, that's who I met at Rotary. Okay, yeah.
So Dan just went over that, piece that he put together about the
Email.
designated
Thank
camping
you,
area.
yeah.
Yeah, and as I was saying, this was just a starting point for a conversation, kind of like, you know, what other municipalities have done, what the legal landscape is, all the different obstacles we'd have to kind of maneuver around
Right,
in order to, you know, push forward a proposal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we tabled your.
sorry.
No worries, no, we tabled your agenda item, until you got here, so.
Okay. What is my agenda?
What am I talking about?
Storage lockers, and probably let's, if you wanted to put in the first aid kits again, talk about
Well,
those. Voila.
these are the first aid kits. We just put that, they're hot off the press.
That's awesome. Can I
Nice.
look at one?
Yeah, we put these together and I am thinking about a couple more things to put in. We've done 30
Wow.
and
Those are nice little bags, though.
Yeah.
Great.
Can I open it up? Is
Yeah,
that- okay, yeah.
And then you've got the QR code on the
The
front,
QR
which is
code on the
nice.
front.
Yes,
Where's the
amazing.
camera?
Yes, some
Okay.
gloves.
Okay, let me do.
Oh,
Here.
yeah,
There we
this stuff
go.
is.
It's on there.
Yep, it's on there. So here's our little bag that we made. It's got all sorts of first aid supplies that were specified by members of the our housing group, but it was but Amanda Gustin and Osa worked at a list. And then we sent it out to different organizations and individuals and said, you know, who wants to take a piece, just click your piece. And so Capstone, you know, Washington County Mental Health,
Yeah.
well, so, you know, we, and some of the churches and a couple individuals and, just pitched in and purchased all the pieces and then we put it together. I want to add a couple more things. I think I want to see if I can find some affordable, like emergency
Yeah.
packets.
Mhm.
Emergency is too expensive.
Gotta be some, generic, right?
Yeah, you
Get
know,
any tick pullers in there.
huh?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if
that
the
would be-
state's still giving that stuff away for free. I
Yeah,
know somebody to ask.
yeah, right. I think I know that person too. So that's a good one. I was thinking emergency, and I'm thinking I'm gonna add a couple of, like Ziploc bags. Just, you know, to put your
Yeah.
refuse in, when
Mhm.
you do this stuff.
Awesome.
Toss it.
So how many, of these are there?
There are 30 now.
Yep.
I'm waiting for more of these bags to
Got
come
it.
in and we'll do
I
20
love those
more.
bags.
Yeah.
They're nice.
They're
Yeah,
hardy,
really.
like.
Yeah,
Well, that was the thing is, you know, we were saying they should go in a somewhat clear bag. And so Ziploc bag was it, but I was like, they're just gonna get torn
Yeah.
minutes after, and these might last a little longer.
Mhm.
and it looks more rainproof too. So
Yeah,
that's a
Yeah.
great thing.
yeah.
Yes.
And since we met, yeah, storage lockers, I got nothing so far. But
We could still work on that one.
yeah.
I think that would be a beneficial one.
Mhm.
Well, what's your idea?
Well,
Tell me what
it's.
you were thinking that didn't go anywhere.
It's not so much, it's the quandary and so how will we solve it?
So like
I don't have,
having some in Barre, is that what
Having
what's your goal?
having some way to have storage for people so that, you know, if they are camping or in between and, you know, a big storage unit would not be feasible for most people, but something temporary. And so there's a whole lot of variables to think about, and so I think we just got to pull a couple people together and start hammering out some of those things, and then see what's possible, see what's done in other communities. I think Montpelier had some,
Mm.
somebody said. Montpelier had
Yes.
some.
They did,
Yeah,
behind the rec.
Okay.
They
Oh
put
my
them in,
goodness.
that was a COVID conversation and it started happening sometime during that time frame.
Because Rivers would be very interested in that, because lots of the things we find are like things that had been perfectly good that had just been dumped, like, so, you know, come spring, everybody's winter stuff or vice versa, and I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I realized Karen Kitzmiller is really busy getting the jackets out, but like, I mean, you know, if you can keep the same one that was good before, or whatever,
Mhm.
so that's a huge amount of stuff that we find is just
yeah,
dump stuff that was perfectly good at
Yeah.
some point that people have.
Well, they
It's
can't
like-
carry it, like you just
Exactly,
can't,
exactly.
if you're not using it, you can't carry it.
Seasonal stuff.
Oh, yeah, and yeah, you also give up on it,
Tess, have they started the showers at that church yet?
not yet.
Not yet. So when is that starting?
Well, I don't have a start date yet.
Okay.
You know, I'm still talking to Phyllis and making sure we've got the the volunteers that we need to be there. But that's a lot, it's a lot,
Mhm.
it's a lot to ask people to do.
We've been doing showers at the clinic.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more
Yeah.
than we anticipated, just in terms of the volunteer demand,
Mhm.
so like.
Mhm.
It started off just Wednesday mornings, and then now it looks like we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but I think we probably had a dozen people today taking showers, and then. But just the logistics of, okay, who cleans up the bathroom afterwards, who does the laundry for the, towels, and. Especially when we have several organizations in the building, all of them who have clients who need this service, so, yeah.
Mhm.
And Sunrise is still available for
In Montpelier.
showers in Montpelier.
Mhm.
And they provide, there's towels, they do the laundry, they just ask that people pick up their own.
Yeah, yeah,
And we haven't, so far, haven't had any issues.
yeah,
But I don't think that the increase of shower usage there has occurred, or I have not seen a lot of.
Mhm.
So people could probably still let that out there for others.
Yeah,
Um,
and some of the other things that we thought, the warming center is, now the drop-in center, I started calling it
Mhm.
after it got warm-ish. That's ending, next Friday.
it's
Okay.
And, there seems to be, kind of hopeful. I just realized I'm sitting with my back to the window, so.
You're
Oh, you
silhouetted.
have this halo.
I know.
It's like you're, it's,
Do I
yeah,
look like an
you're
angel?
heaven sent.
Yeah, there we go.
Do I look like an angel, Brookie?
Yeah.
Um, oh jeepers. Shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have interrupted.
The drop-in
myself,
center.
the
Yeah,
drop-in.
yeah.
So it just seems like there is a turning, a tide for maybe getting away from completely always supplying enough ministries and starting to have breakfasts in the churches again, like we did before the pandemic.
Mhm.
I hope we can do it, but, and it just seems like there is an appetite for doing that, and again, be a ton of coordination, but I think it would be worthwhile, always. My thing has been, I think it's great that we've had the takeouts and enough ministry, and I am so grateful, especially during the pandemic. But now is the time to start having community with people again, and it doesn't happen when people walk up to a shelf and take food away and, and don't have any human contact. They're always welcome to come in and get a takeout. That always has been a service that was just fine with people if they wanted to come in and take, but, we see what we've been doing, what we've had happening at the warming center, and it's just really great, but it's, that'll go away next week. Yeah.
Yeah, so that community that's been built
Mhm.
will sort of be defunct until the
Yeah.
next time then
Yeah.
we're in this boat with the weather,
Yeah.
right? So,
So some of the churches are talking about doing lunches. So far, I know Good Shepherd does Wednesdays now, and I think the Congregational Church does one day, and they might decide to start doing 2 days. So, I'm gonna have lunch at Salvation Army on Friday to meet with those people and just see what,
Mhm.
if they're gonna be regenerating some of their feeding stuff that they were so good at and so reliable for, again. Yeah,
can I go back to the storage? Because I think we had that issue, but we also were talking, and it's not winter anymore, right? So yay, but
yeah,
we were also talking about drop spots for camping gear, for other gear in the city, and I'm probably out to lunch, but I'm not remembering a resolution on that, whether it was a heck no, whether it was a possibly yes.
I don't think we got a definitive answer on that because OSA said that they were accepting, but didn't want all of it like all at once,
Yeah.
I think, because it would
Okay.
bombard the Good Samaritan area, the Welcome Center.
mhm,
So
Oh, no,
I
that's
think
not
we
what I was
could-
talking about. We were talking about having some
Oh,
boxes or
yes,
something
okay.
where,
containers, yep.
where, folks who are unhoused could pop by because OSA has sent them, or somebody has sent
Yeah.
them a message saying, I've put something in the box
Right.
for you.
Right.
and this
You
is
can
where,
go get it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
OSA is not necessarily trekking out to wherever they are, or it's not just OSA, I'm using OSA
Yeah,
because OSA's on
Or
the
Dawn.
committee. Or Dawn, or whoever else, could leave things for folks, and I know we're not in winter weather, camping, but there is summer weather camping too, so I don't know that just dropping that and waiting until the fall makes sense either, like maybe continuing
think
the
we can-
process of, if it can't happen, it can't, but feels
We can-
unfinished.
That would be a good thing to add to our next month's
Mhm.
agenda item
Mhm.
again. Can you put that in the notes,
I will.
so I don't forget? Because I think it would be good for us to come up with a solution somehow, some way. Because it's gonna get, it just seems like it's already getting wetter out
Mhm.
mhm,
and wetter.
mhm.
So if we could figure out something before it gets saturated, at least. Which could happen this weekend.
Agreed. It happened last weekend.
It did,
Or
yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Something tells me it's gonna be a rainy summer, people.
Yeah.
That just
I
may
say
be our life.
nothing.
Thank you. I know.
I just cried.
It's just a disappointment. What was I mean. So.
I do have something to add to the agenda, and my apologies for not bringing it up earlier, so I just want to say that out loud now when I'm thinking of it. Sorry.
Okay. All right, do you wanna go
Do
to
it.
ads or do you wanna
Yep,
go?
nope,
Okay,
yeah,
so
perfect.
let's talk about collaboration with Montpelier again. And let's talk about seeing when we can add them to our meeting again. I just think getting them on board with some more stuff with us would help, and seeing what they're doing. Kinda see if they want to help with some of the stuff that we're talking about.
I'm fine with them coming anytime.
Yeah.
I feel like it just adds to the richness of the
So,
conversation.
do
We're
we
still
wanna
gonna do
invite
our
them for next
pieces.
month?
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering, do they meet monthly like we do?
They meet
Or they meet?
more, I think.
I'm
I
almost
think they
wondering
might
if
do.
like,
Yeah.
we can get a regular. Like joint meeting on the calendar, like every other month we have a joint meeting with the month, something like that.
So
you know,
in
like-
terms of, I'm so sorry,
No, please, no, I'm done.
sorry. In terms of like city policy, if we are joining someone else's meeting, are we required to do any notification of that? So, cause my thought is maybe those of us who can could just attend one of their meetings as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I guess it's, maybe it's a question for
yeah,
Nicholas,
I don't-
I don't know, but
I don't know
like,
the
we
answer.
should.
Do you know the answer? Tess?
What's the question again?
If some of us who can, and hopefully, maybe it's the whole group, could go to one of Montpelier's meetings. Since we're all meeting together, are we required to like notice people that we're going to do that?
I think because you're gonna have a quorum, you do,
We won't be voting on anything at that meeting that would
Okay.
pertain to us.
yeah.
yeah, I think if we know that a
I-
quorum of this committee would be attending, that it would be
Gotcha.
safe to warn it.
Yeah.
Just in case, even if we're not gonna make decisions.
Like, we're not making the agenda, but we're warning that this committee is gonna jointly meet with that
I
committee.
think that, yeah, but like, yeah, but we just send a liaison, like if one of us attends their next meeting, I
Yeah.
think we don't have to warn anybody
two.
like that, so exactly, yeah, as long as it's not.
Two, but not three.
Yeah. Who's the?
And I'm not on it, so I can go without.
There you
Right.
go.
So I'm emailing
Or
Zach Hughes
Doris
now,
Brooke.
who is.
Okay,
And
the
I,
person-
and I could go as well, just because I've collaborated with them in the past a lot, so it could benefit us and them by having us, by maybe if I go, I could reach out to them to see, like, I think they're on Wednesdays at 11, I'm not sure. But I can check into it if you guys all would like for me to do that.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, I don't need to send out the email then?
Nope, Brooks got it.
Got it. Thank you, Brooke.
You're on vacation. You don't need to do that.
I'm on vacation. I started
my
vacation
gosh.
at 4 o'clock. I don't know what I'm
Oh,
doing,
wow.
but I'm here.
What a great way to start your vacation.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Seriously.
So then it's your agenda last.
Oh, I just wanted to bring to people's attention an email that you just got it as well.
Oh, yes.
I'm just gonna pull it up so that I can read from
Yeah.
it. When I get there, because it came in this afternoon. Here we go. It came from Vermont State Housing Authority, so in terms of housing and homelessness, based on what they have been told from HUD is going on. And so, so effective immediately from Vermont State Housing, and I will forward this, so you don't have to write
Okay.
anything. I will just forward it
Sounds
to
good.
you.
And then you can just kind of like attach it to the notes or something.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just gonna, they will cease issuing any vouchers. Any new vouchers, because they have an unexpected, they're not getting level funded, they're getting $1 million across the housing choice voucher programs eliminated. So it's not, they were expecting level funding is what they're saying, but they didn't get level funding. They knew that was gonna hurt, but they got that. Number two is they'll temporarily pause referrals for special purpose vouchers, which includes HUD VASH, Family Unification Program, and foster youth to independence. The number three is that they're gonna pause continued assistance moves, and that is just when tenants wanna. Folks who are already receiving services wanna move, and oftentimes that means an increase in rents and things, and so I'm just paraphrasing, but that's the idea behind that. Number 4 is they're restricting portability. That's another way that folks who are already in and they're maybe here and they wanna move to New York or Rutland or wherever, like I'm just using our local area, that will be restricted. And the only way that folks would be able to do that is if their new rent is less than their current rent. And that's my paraphrasing, you can read it. Number 5 is they're gonna suspend new enrollments into the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which is just a program that they run that helps folks to put money away towards deposits on purchasing homes later on. And this is the kicker that, they're all bad. They will pull back all vouchers that have been issued but not yet leased up. So if we're working with anybody, if anybody's working or knows anybody who has issued a voucher and they've been searching for housing, anything that's not leased up immediately, effective immediately, is being pulled back. And those folks will be placed on the waiting list in the order that they were on it when they got the voucher. They won't be any further disadvantaged than that in terms of like just being kicked out of the wait list, but that is it. And I mean, clearly that's not what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I don't hold any. I'm sure those were really hard. That was a hard thing to send out, but it went as a really large email out to those of us who are
Yeah.
just on their list
Yeah.
to get things.
Yeah, if you could forward that, I need to get that to my staff,
Yes,
so.
It's gonna be a real issue and, I work at a homeless services hotel, so some of those folks are waiting for that as well.
Yep,
They will continue to work on project-based vouchers, Hilltop townhouses and, those other things that are already pre-existing. When they have vacancies, they'll be leasing new folks up and pursuing that, but
it makes me, so with that being said, I almost question what it's gonna look like for Montpelier housing. And my reason why is because Montpelier housing has vouchers and so does in Barre.
they'll
But they
all
get,
have,
yeah, and to be able to get any funding from the program that I run, that I get money from DMH, they have to have had to apply for Section 8.
so if they eliminate their wait list, which I believe was also in this thing that I didn't read, I was just doing the effective immediately stuff. If they just say, we're not gonna add more people to the wait list, then DMH is probably gonna have to rethink that eligibility criteria if wait lists aren't open across the board.
I'm hoping to know more on the 29th. That's when my meeting is with our
Yeah.
DMH guy.
So
So,
that literally came in maybe an hour and a half
Yeah,
ago.
not even, yeah.
It's
I was
just
waiting
came
on the
in,
car
so,
when that came through.
and I
yeah.
knew it and wanted to put it on the agenda and I forgot.
And just so people know too, I don't know if all social services agencies is doing this, but we at Washington County Mental Health, our whole program at CRT is changing. The name title CRT as of July 1st is going away. There's some way that the DMH says they have to be at a tier 3. So for the last month and a half, we've been looking at all of our cases. And seeing where everybody fits in that tier. And anybody above the threshold of a 3. Will be who I can offer ORAs, ongoing rental assistance to, and case managing with. Other than that, the 2s and 1s and the sustainable people.
Can you,
need to
can you quickly, for anybody who might read the minutes or be watching this after the fact, explain 1, 2, and 3,
I
like
do not know that,
nutshell?
it's not even me.
It's not
I
you.
don't make that decision. So 3s are those that are, from what I know,
Highest level of need would,
homelessness, evictions, unhoused, let's see, multiple hospitalizations
yep,
would be 3s.
okay, that makes sense. So,
There,
and then lessening levels of acuity.
yeah,
in
lessening
terms of-
levels of acuity, moderate needs. The number 1 acuity people would be those that only need, maybe once a month case management needs.
Mhm,
And then level 2 would be a little more. Like, maybe they need help with the doctor's appointments and transportation, and so.
that makes sense.
I don't score the people, I'm sorry, guys, but.
Yeah, no, it's happening everywhere. It's just, it's good to
sad,
have
it is,
a
yeah.
sense as to what's happening and,
Yep.
okay. Great. More good times.
Yeah.
Hannah. Did you have any
We're the-
comments or questions?
We're the bright and sunny.
I know, right?
Well, Rivers isn't an official, city committee, so we're not used to being recorded. so-
Oh, okay.
Never know.
Fair enough.
It's like my housing task
Well,
force.
we're not used to being recorded either, but we all just do
Questions
it.
when we're done, but
Pretend like it's
no.
not even there, right?
Except I'm looking at my face. So are you.
But thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. It's nice to have a guest.
never
We don't
like to
always have that.
guests.
Yes. Any other agenda items?
The last one, okay.
It was, yes.
Yeah,
Short and sweet today.
It is short and sweet.
yeah.
I would make a motion that we adjourn to, do we have a next meeting date scheduled?
That would be, I put it in there wrong, Tess corrected me. I'm sorry, oh, I turned off my work phone.
I think it was
Brooke
like
has,
the 18th.
y'all look great, she says. Thanks, Brooke.
It's the 18th. On my
Yes.
schedule, it's the
Yeah.
It's
18th.
the 18th of
June
June.
18th.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
Would be our
I
next,
think you forgot to put the 8 on there.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. June 18th,
Okay, yeah, I moved, we adjourn until June 18th.
Second. Any comments?
No.
Yeah.
Standing vote?
Zero.
Dan and I have the majority anyway.
Yeah. Go ahead, I agree. I'm agree with that. We can go.
Now you can turn that off.
I'm good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.